A newly appointed, seemingly industry-friendly Governor Kathy Hochul took office in New York, promising 50 new legal dispensary openings per month in 2023. A year and a month later, there are but 59 operating in total in the Empire State. And it's obvious that the original game plan fell way short of its intended goals. But is it time to scrap it all together and start from scratch? At least one person seems to think so. According to Marijuana Moments, Kyle Yeager, New York Governor Kathy Hochul says she's very fed up with how long it's taking to expand the state's recreational marijuana market with more licensed businesses, revealing that she recently urged regulators to go back to the drawing board and approve hundreds of new retailers. With license applicants voicing frustration over delayed approvals and an abrupt cancellation of Cannabis Control Board meeting last Wednesday, where regulators were expected to grant additional approvals, saying that New York operator tensions are high might be the understatement of the year. Spectrum One reported that at an event in Buffalo Friday, a fired-up Governor Hochul said that she caught wind of the fact that the board was only prepared to sign off on 3 new licenses, so her office intervened. My team got involved and said, no, go back to the drawing board, work harder, get this done. And no, I'm not satisfied with that pace. The governor continued, saying that applicants who are still waiting for the board's sign-off are absolutely right to be frustrated. I'll tell you right now, I'm very fed up with how long it's taking to get these approvals. She did, however, concede that regulators are not entirely at fault, and litigation from larger conglomerates led to courts, ultimately delaying the license process for months at a time, even though just a handful of dispensaries were open prior to the lawsuit referenced was filed. Yeager noted that officials were also set to consider proposed rules allowing home cultivation of cannabis for adults at Wednesday's meeting that was canceled. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Are you buying Governor Hochul's new tough talk here? Should New York just scrap the progress already made and start fresh? I can't call it. That's why I'm asking the rest of the team. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for Hide 9 News. What do you guys think?
This is like the dog and pony show right here, Rico. I'm very upset. You guys aren't working hard enough. Yeah, this is all extra drama. All right, she doesn't care about any of this. I mean, she went into a store and she didn't even buy a souvenir ashtray. She does not care about this at all. She is just totally grandstanding and using this to placate to voters.
Well, I'm glad that Vocal Hochul is expressing her frustration
Vocal
over what has occurred during her leadership. And so I don't know what you call that. Self-expression, throw your people under the bus, show that you can relate to the people who are trying to wait for your glacial change to speed up. But the truth is, she's got to own this. This is her bed. I'll give you a little bit of a spicy analogy. And with all due respect to the preeminent family, here we go. When D'Angelo lobbied at the last minute to remove the acreage caps through the organizations and companies that he owned in Salinas, and then came back 4 years later to decry corporate cannabis and the way in which it was ruining California's industry, it was like he wanted to be perceived as an outsider when he was an insider, but he was an outsider, but he was an insider. So Vocal Hochul wants to decry the glacial rate of change, the lack of progress, but that's all you, girl. So what are you going to do? Hit yourself in the head with a hammer? Because we saw this coming, and you saw this coming if you had half a brain. And your advisors saw this coming, and now it's here, and you made your bed, and yeah, it's uncomfortable for all stakeholders.
Yeah, I mean, I like the analogy, Yaro. I'm not mad at that analogy at all. It's, yeah,
there's
not surprising.
There's a photo in history books of our 33rd president, Harry Truman. He's sitting in front of a desk, and there's a little placard in the front of that desk, and there's a saying on the front of that placard. And you know what it says on the front of that placard, Jason?
What does it say?
The buck stops here.
Hey,
that's all I got to say about that.
Hey, you know, I'm with that. You know what I mean? I totally get it. The buck stops here. I understand that. I've led numbers of different things over the years. I totally get it. It's all based off leadership. And I mean, I think you can even equate that to possibly even the Lions losing yesterday when they decided not to kick the field goal and go for it on 4th down. It was the leadership call that called that play and caused them not to tie the game and be able to go into overtime.
Yeah, listen, it's hard for me to disparage anything about that Lions coach. That guy had his players playing at a super high level.
Oh, I give him major credit. I give him major credit. I give him major credit. Not. I'm not trying to take away or throw shade in regards to. I'm just saying.
It's just at the end of the day, all leadership is about owning things, and yet, with the example in the article or the analogy I drew, we see leaders distancing themselves from those things that have occurred during their period of leadership and not wanting to own it. And so I think what Hochul was trying to do was show that she understood the frustration and she had heard her constituents. But until she goes back to the drawing board instead of telling other people to go back to the drawing board, she doesn't really get it.
No, she does not. That's for sure. I think Gavin Newsom and Governor Hochul should both go on a date together because they're both governors of the 2 largest trap markets in the country.
Hey, man, is that the 2028 ticket right there?
Just saying. Just a thought, you guys. Just a thought. But New York's a total shit show. It's not going to get any better anytime soon, and anything that they do is not going to make it better anytime soon either. Like even if they went back to the drawing board.
What is scrapping everything that they did? What is that going to do at this point?
I mean, honestly, they should scrap. They should scrap everything that they did, and then you're going to have all of these people whining and crying because they spent all this money to open up and operate under this this system, and it's just going to go nowhere. They're gonna be out all that money if they scrap the whole system. They're going to be out of their licenses, out of their permits, everything.
I'm going to throw a life raft out there.
Are you calling New York cannabis the Detroit Lions of the cannabis industry?
No, because the Detroit Lions have far surpassed anything that New York has done in regards with cannabis. There was only one good thing that New York did with cannabis, and that was not arresting people in regards for smoking outside on the streets and whatnot. That was the best thing that New York did for cannabis, and ever since then, it's all been downhill.
We believed in them.
I'm going to throw them a life raft right now. I'm going to throw them a savior right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, New York, if you would like the High at 9 News to sit on a panel and craft your cannabis policy for your state, we will charge a very, very low fee because we want to see it done in the right way.
A nominal fee. Yes. But I'll tell you what, though.
Fair and just.
Kathy Hochul's going to have to give up her PJ so that we can get back and forth.
Granted.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have some pretty bright people out there in New York, from Lulu doing On the Reveal.
Do they really? Do they really, though? Do they really, though? Because it doesn't translate into sensible policy. So I have to seriously question anything like that.
So it doesn't translate into policy. But between the monkeys and Lulu, there's a vibrant, Mike at Chef for Hire. There's a vibrant cannabis community. There's a lot of people who are wanting this program to function.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of know-how and intel and experience there. I don't necessarily think, as much as I would like to, that they needed to travel all the way to the left coast to get all of the information that they would need to do a better job. And let's be really clear what polyspeak means, right? Back to the drawing board means I fucked up. And how do we say that in a way that's a little bit more authentic? Back to the drawing board is not tweaks to policy.
Yeah.
It means there's a foundational collapse. And to not own that and to say, well, I told my people this and I'm going to, I'm very frustrated. Then resign, please.
Right.
When we say things like the jab that I just made about New York, I mean, we kind of have some truth to it. And I say that like, and I don't want to make the come out of context like, oh, we're coming in here and showing New York how to do it. You're right, Yarrow, and New York. New York has very, very intelligent people, straight hustlers that been hustling since hustling was hustling. But this is what I'm trying to communicate. It's not necessarily that they don't have the know-how. It's the part that you said that they have that I don't think that they have, and that's the experience. So right. if you can tap in with some OGs or some people in a market that's fairly close to you in terms of 2024, closeness now. So you can tap in with some people in California that have the know-how, that have the experience in these markets, and kind of can help craft where you guys are steering this ship into the docks. For me personally, if I was intelligent and I was in New York, I would be listening to people in California. I'd be listening to people in Colorado. I would be listening to people who would ever had some insight that they could give me on some experience in the legal market, how to deal with the trap, how to craft policies that make sense, how to not suffocate the entire industry. Those are things that I would say, okay, like, talk to me about those things. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. The people in New York are extremely intelligent. They're going to get this right eventually. I hope that we are there to celebrate with them when they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what.
And to your point about ships, and to your point about ships in the docks and all that stuff, the question for me isn't if they're going to get it right, okay? The question is how many destroyed businesses, how many distraught entrepreneurs, how many social equity hopes and dreams dashed on the rocks by the dock before they get it right, and how many people had to spend money in the queue waiting to be a regulated entrepreneur, and how many failed businesses will occur as a result of the slow, imperfect, inefficient rollout, and who will make those people whole? Because there's no guarantees in business anyway.
Hold on,
and
Yarrow.
so the challenge for me is not that foregone conclusion. It will finally work itself out. But in the meantime, they're creating stress, a lack of opportunity, and broken promises.
Well,
but see, a business person is going to be able to thrive, and you could put a hustler on anywhere on God's green earth, and he'll triple his worth. So what my point in saying that is, you can, in any kind of situation, right? You have to analyze what's going on around you as a person coming out of a traditional market into a legal market, right? So the people that you're referring to right now that are getting chewed up and spit out in this situation, waiting for 2 years with their leases and stuff like that, I feel really bad for them because they were duped into thinking the situation was something that it's not. But at the same time, like, it was something that it was not. You chose to jump into a blender and then you got chewed up. Mm-hmm. So if you had caution in this situation and looked at this and said, look, I'm going to come into this situation and I'm going to look at those around me and see if they've done it right, see how this plays out, and not rush in. Fools rush in, correct? So now we're going to kind of play a more cautious optimism around the peripheral of this thing that New York has going on, and not jump out there and execute $2 or $3 million before I can even make a penny. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't make sense to me.
Yep, I'm with you. And Yarrow, on your point, there's one group that you forgot out of that mix, and that is the hemp farmers who had to store all of that weed for 1.5 years before they could even sell it on the market. They had to pay for all that storage space to just sit around and let the cannabis just decompose and decompose and decompose until they had to hawk it to some unknowing customer in some dispensary somewhere, thinking that they're buying good stuff. It's shame, shame, shame. But nonetheless, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.